Kash is our financial expert joining us today. So if I can ask you to just kick us off with a little bit of background on how and why you started this career and then your platform that you built with such a phenomenal following.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Des, for having me. I'm very excited to be here. Um, so, I started my business by accident. I come from a financial services background. I've been in private banking for 14 years. Started in 2007, if my maths is correct. Um, but on the 1st of January 2019, I was pregnant with my daughter. She was born in March of 2019. And on the 1st of Jan, I decided to start an Instagram page. And I've always been on social media. You know, I was always dabbling on Instagram and all of that. But I thought, let me do something different because at that time, I didn't see anyone doing anything related to financial wellness and talking about money. And money is not an easy topic to even talk about. And I started a page called Financial Fitness for Women, and I told my own personal story of how I got divorced at the age of 26 and I was almost financially ruined, didn't make the best money decisions, and people started following me. And they were like, okay, I've been through that, I can relate, and it became a safe space for women to share their stories about how much they are in debt, how much they want financial freedom, and it grew from there. And COVID came around, as with a lot of people, started their businesses and side hustles, and I decided to quit my private banking career and pursue this full time. The Financial Fitness Club was born, which is an online financial empowerment community for women.
And men.
Yes, and men if they want to join, I'm sure. But the focus for me was very much, because I was coming from a female standpoint, obviously, I'm very much for women empowerment. But anybody who can benefit from the information that I share, they're most welcome to be a part of the community. The Financial Fitness Club is the online membership where women can come together, be part of a live coaching session every month, and share their wins, share their goals. They get courses, and so there's a lot of learning taking place and sharing. And being part of a community that supports your financial journey is so important in making any strides.
Absolutely, because I think, if we throw ourselves back to 10, 20 years ago, there was no one doing that sort of thing, giving you education on financial wellness. It was sort of like, I'll deal with that when I'm a little bit older, and you never quite get there. So I think, because today's focus is also about leadership and entrepreneurship, tell us, what are some of the main things to consider before embarking on a small business, on starting your own small business?
So the startup failure rate in South Africa is quite high. It's like between 70 and 80%. And I firmly believe that that's because small business owners don't have a proper plan when they're starting, and they don't have the right support. So for me, it's not just having an idea and saying, oh, I want to start a business and make money. Have you decided that what you're about to sell is something that people want and need? Do you have proof of concept? Do you have financial cushion in case your idea fails, if you're moving from corporate to running your own business? At least 6 to 12 months living expenses. It's not just, oh, like Beyonce says, I'm going to quit my job now. It's you really need to think things through and start small, bootstrap if you have to. Start with 1 or 2 products, test the market on your friends and family. You don't have to start off with investors and tons of money and put yourself into debt. Start small and work your way up from there.
Awesome. Some nice key tips, eh? Are we enjoying this? Are we awake out there? And then I think, the Fix itself is a young brand, but our audience also really is focused on that 20-plus consumer. So we're looking at youngsters who are either in varsity or first-time workers. And so a key question I'd like to ask you is, what should they be thinking about planning for their financial future? Because it's like, I'm 20, I'm not going to be thinking about my pension fund right now. Living my best life, like I'm getting there. But like, that is also just a default mechanism because of a lack of education. So what are the things they should be thinking about in terms of planning their financial grounding for a solid future?
When I started working, the very first thing that I did was open up a Truworths account. And I'm not throwing shade at Virginia, it's just Truworths was the closest store. And for me, it was like, this is instant credit, instant gratification, and from Truworths, it went to Woolworths and every other retail store account you can think of. So we're not taught how to save, we're taught how to spend. And I believe that if every child or every young adult is taught that you need to save more than you spend, we'd have a lot more millionaires walking the streets of South Africa. So I would encourage young people, the minute you start earning any kind of income, save your money. Start like a basic savings account. And if you're working, if you are contributing to a pension fund or a provident fund, up your contribution every single year. It's the easiest way to take advantage of compound interest. Open up a retirement annuity, little things like that. So, because the earlier you get started, the more you can take advantage of compound interest and growing your own money. And it's very hard to catch up later in life. Yes, you can, but it's much more difficult to do that.
Yeah.
So as early as you can, start saving and looking after your retirement and your later years. It's not fun, but it's something that you have to do, unfortunately.
Yeah. So there you heard it from Kash Parker, and like we know, today is also focused on giggle side hustle. So we know there's a lot of people who don't want a corporate job, they don't want a 9-to-5, so start saving and start getting that RA going if you're not in a pension fund. So I'm going to throw it out to the audience. Do you have any questions for Kash, guys?
Hi.
Oh, UCT Radio! I love it, I love it. Hello there.
I like engaging with the speakers today, especially with the topics they are discussing, from influencing specifically money. Ironic that your name is Kash.
I know, right? It's not planned, I promise.
Not planned at all. When it comes to financial wellness and when it comes to the financial literacy side of things, it's not something that's relatively spoken about in school, specifically primary school to high school. Even in tertiary, some cases, people would only be speaking about it if learning accounting or something of that sort. How do you think we'd be able to, as individuals, even in communities, our parents don't talk about these things because themselves, they've made these mistakes, so it comes on to the next generation. How do you think we can actually bridge that, where we can also now start speaking about it specifically in a more comfortable manner, because it seems to be still relatively an uncomfortable conversation to actually have? How do we start teaching young kids, specifically in a schooling environment as well, about financial literacy? Because many of them, they learn about it mid-20s to their 30s. And by then, a lot of them, they have opened a lot of accounts, taken out a lot of credit, and they are in debt.
Great question. And that's why I say we are taught to spend and not to save. A lot of the work that I do is aimed at the younger age groups. I try to go into schools and just lay that foundation as a financial influencer, so to speak. But I think it's up to people who are in positions like me to raise awareness, to go to these educational institutions and see if we can just reach out and touch the younger people who are still in school, who are about to go out into the workforce and start making those very important plans, well, life plans. So yeah, I just think it's about raising awareness constantly. Unfortunately, it's still not taught in schools, which I think is quite crazy in this day and age. And that is also why I started my business, because the subject of money is very taboo. People don't want to talk about debt. What they do talk about is the flashy cars that they drive, where they live, but there are so many people suffering in silence. So my community is extremely open when it comes to that. The ladies feel that it's a place where they can become empowered, but also feel safe enough to share if they are in a difficult space. And unfortunately, that's not something that is commonplace in South Africa at the moment. But thanks for the question.
Any other questions?
I feel like it's always us asking the questions, and it's
That's
genuine.
fine,
There's
that's
not planned
fine.
or anything.
Don't worry,
Do that on
y'all.
radio.
You brave, you brave. Everyone else is a little bit shy. We're going to give them some time to warm up, eh?
So for me, as a self-employed company owner or director, you know. They make it so difficult for you to like even just rent an apartment or to buy a car. So I end up looking for templates for simple stuff like just a payslip template that I now have to make myself, which is also crazy because I've never had to make one. But like they make it so like difficult, man. They make it very difficult for you.
Yes, I know.
So how do I kind of make like bridge the gap in a way? Because obviously I'm not employed by the Foschini Group, but you know I do work for companies like the Foschini Group, you know. So I just want to like know how I can kind of bridge that gap to make it easier for me to like apply for like finance for a vehicle and things like that, and not have to give a 2 years bank statements. You know what I mean?
Yeah, unfortunately, you're not going to get away from the 2 years bank statement thing. But what I can say is to treat your business as a business and not a small business. So once you have a bank account in the name of your company, which is key, you're always keeping your business expenses and income separate from what you earn personally, in your personal capacity. And then just to get a very, very good accountant. Because at some stage you're going to have to start paying yourself, and that's where the pay slips come in.
Yes.
And even if it's a small salary, start paying yourself every single month so that you start building up a record.
Yes.
So definitely find a good accountant that can keep your business kind of sorted in that regard, because it's very hard to do it on our own as business owners. You know, you've got a little Excel spreadsheet here and little papers in our cubby holes and things. So yeah, I would say, yeah, to start with that.
Okay.
Hi, I've warmed up clearly.
Hello.
It's getting hot in here.
So my name is Trawe. I am a student. So one thing I find really difficult when it comes to saving is just figuring out how to actually make a budget. So do you have any tips on how we can go about making a budget?
Yes, I've actually got a free template. So if you go into my Instagram profile, there's a space to, in the link in my bio, if you join the email list, you get a budgeting planner that you can download, and in there they've got budgets, savings templates, the whole tutti. But starting a budget is not as difficult as people think. You don't have to have it on Excel and make it super complicated. Just keep a log of what you are spending. So whatever money is coming in, write that down. Whatever money is going out, write that down. And make sure, obviously, that you're always in the green. Because once you start spending more than you earn, then that's a problem. But there are so many templates, free budgeting templates and apps that you can use. The Old Mutual, I think it's 22/7. They also have a very good app that you can download that's completely free, that keeps track of your spending and actually notifies you once you've overspent. So just have a look around, and there's so many free tools and resources that you can use. But the key is just to keep it simple.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are
That was
you?
fabulous. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
I wanted to ask you, do you provide like financial relief, or is that not a part of it?
No, so a lot of people think that I am a financial advisor, which I'm not. I'm a financial educator. So at any point, if you want to utilize solid financial advice and planning, I would recommend that you get in touch with a certified financial advisor, which I do partner and work with. So you're welcome to chat to me afterwards. And also just to be very careful of debt relief programs that are out there on the interwebs. Because sometimes you can make your situation worse by locking yourself into things like a debt review program that you don't fully understand. So yeah, be very mindful and careful before you approach anyone that's not reputable.
Will do.
But I can chat to you afterwards.
Thank you so much.
Any more questions?
I wanted to come slightly away from finance. Earlier I heard you say something about proof of concept. So I had a similar discussion with somebody like recently, and they had this idea that like a concept is different to an idea. So like with early startups, you can kind of have an idea instead of an actual concept. So like, do you also find that that's true, or like what is your idea of that situation? Like, is there a difference between a concept and an idea to you?
No, not necessarily. I think an idea and a concept is more or less the same thing, but a concept would probably be more towards does it work or not? And that is what you need to figure out before you invest any kind of time or capital into the idea itself. So making sure that you have proof of concept is super important, because that's when you are testing out your idea on actual people who are going to buy from you. So that's essentially what the difference is.
Any more questions?
Just one more question from me specifically. Kash.
We're going to move you to the front seat also.
So I'll be happy with that.
Just teasing.
When it comes to the discipline of saving, I think it's relatable to everyone here that we tend to be, or we have been in the past, ill-disciplined. I've even asked this on my show, what's the one thing you actually tell yourself before spending more money than you know you don't have? And some people, they've answered, I've been through much worse with less. You only live once, all those kind of things.
YOLO.
They've told themselves those things. What are some of the discipline factors we should take into account where we could make saving for ourselves much more easier? Because we become quite ill-disciplined. You only live once. Okay, I have to go to that event, so I'm going to buy an outfit, get a ticket, all those kind of things. But when it comes to the saving factor of it, you'd find even some people, they take from the savings account, spend there and be like, I'll put it back later, it's fine.
Yeah.
People
And then it never happens. So your spending behavior is very often 99.9% related to your emotional state. So you can have the best job, like I did. Well, not the best job, but I had a good job. But when your mind is not in the right place and your emotional state is in a very unsettled space where you're not making the right decisions, your financial decisions are going to suffer. And that's why when I work with somebody in terms of financial education and their money mindset, it's almost teaching them at a grassroots level how to save, why they're saving, and teaching, teaching them to walk again almost. Because it's not about how much you're saving, it's formulating the habit. Because it's like riding a bike, you know? So even if you're saving 10 Rand a week, once you can commit to that and hold yourself accountable, you're going to start exercising that muscle, and you're going to become more excited by the idea and more motivated, and that amount's going to grow. But if you start off with, oh, I'm going to start saving 1,000 Rand a month in this retirement annuity, but you're not doing it for the right reasons, and you haven't practiced that self-discipline yet, you're probably going to fall off the wagon. So I would definitely say to start very, very small and make it automated so that you're not physically having to pay this money into your account every month. And most banks offer those automated payments where you can set it up on your online banking and it gets done. You don't even know it's happening, and it just makes it a lot easier. Just like you don't have to be particularly overzealous in terms of amount. Just to start is important. And congratulate yourself, for that very small effort you're making.
Okay, got it.
And I think that's a nice, beautiful common thread in what Kash and both Nivan said, creating that habit. It's all about consistency. So consistency in posting content, consistency in developing a habit to save regularly. And that's what creates success.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much for your time, Kash.
Thank
We
you,
loved
Jess.
having you
Thank
here.
Very much. It's been a pleasure.